Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago and beyond. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome at. This is episode 624. Cecil, it is an historic.
It is
genuinely an historic day today.
I am right there with you. I was so overjoyed today when I heard Ketanji Brown Jackson was appointed to the Supreme Court, because you don't get elected.
Confirmed?
Even though she got a lot of votes. She got 53 votes today, which was shocking to me because I thought for sure
it would be 50.
It would be 50, and then they'd have to go to the first black vice president, female vice president, which would have been interesting. But instead, they were able to capture the votes that they needed on the Senate floor, and she became right now the three liberal judges are all women. They're all female. Let's say you have Elena Kagan. Is there an Elena? Is her first name?
Elena?
Elena Kagan. Elena Kagan.
Elena
that's
Kagan.
Right, yeah. Sotomayor.
Yep.
And then now you have
Brown Jackson.
Yep. So, yeah.
I mean, this is you can fault Biden for a lot of things, and I'm willing to do a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
But I think in terms of bringing in the most diverse cabinet in history, bringing it's not fucking lip service.
No.
Diversity is a hallmark of his presidency.
Yeah.
I think this will be a legacy that we remember this presidency by. And I am excited that we have this kind of representation in the highest court in the land. It's about fucking time.
It is about time.
It's about time.
It is about time. Tom, we've got to crack open our Blantons here.
This is celebratory.
This is celebratory Blantons.
This was a gift from Heath.
This was a gift from Heath. Heath had given us 2 bottles of Blanton's.
We have one left.
I'm getting texted. Hold on a second. And I'm going to pour it for both of us here. So.
Thank you. Now, if you're not a bourbon drinker, Blanton's is very difficult to get.
Blanton's right now
very hard to find.
Blanton's right now is very hard to find. I'm going to put
never used to be,
and it wasn't back in the day. But they were drinking it on Justified, drinking it on John Wick, and people saw the bottle. Which the bottle is very distinctive. So the bottle looks like a little, I don't know, like a 12-sided dice or something like that. And so it's a very distinctive bottle. Yep. And so right now we are going to toast the first woman of color, the first black female on the Supreme Court.
Hot damn.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good bourbon. That's good bourbon.
I mean, it's worth it.
That's worth it. Yeah, it was an amazing historic day today, so we're very happy that happened. And, thank goodness that Georgia went the way Georgia went.
Yeah, think about that.
Because what would have happened, Tom, if Georgia wasn't?
I don't even know.
Because at this point, if it would have been Purdue, was that who it was? Purdue and that other woman? I forget even the woman's name.
I forgot the losers already.
But the Purdue, I thought was his name. And so if those two were in office instead of Warnock and Ossoff.
Man, if those two were in office, again,
yeah,
you can shit on the Democratic Party for a lot of things. You're welcome to do it. We should, right? But if we did not do what was necessary to get the slimmest fucking majority, think about all the things that wouldn't have happened. We would not. What would happen, Cecil, is we would not confirm a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah,
in the entire, they would cock block this for 4 fucking years. You know they would.
They would. They would never bring it up. They would never let it bring up.
And then it would be 7-2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it would be fucking 7-2, man.
They would do that. And they would do it because there's a scorched earth policy on the right. They don't care about that sort of thing. Nope. They don't care about, they clearly don't care about hypocrisy. I mean, like they said you couldn't do Merrick Garland during an election year.
Yep.
They made a big stink about it. You can't do Merrick Garland during an election year. You can't do Merrick Garland during an election year. And as soon as fucking Ruth Bader Ginsburg died,
boom. Fastest appointment and confirmation ever. Yep. Absolutely. And the thing is, like, McConnell fucking laughed about it when they asked him.
Yeah.
He fucking laughed about it because of course he did. Because McConnell's a games guy. That's who he is. It's this whole thing. He is the master of the rules and the games and the engagement. Yeah. That's what he's the master of. So, but here we sit. We're 6-3. It's not a good position.
It's not a good position to be in. I mean,
it's not.
You're down 2. You're down 2.
Yep. This is a rough spot. And even though I loathe Amy Coney Barrett, and I do, I loathe her politics. I loathe everything she seems to stand for. I do also want to point out that the Supreme Court is 4 or 5 women and men.
Yeah.
And that's almost enough. Yeah. That's almost good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So fucking here we go.
Yeah.
Let's actually get a little bit better by tiny fucking increments, even as we slide back for every step we take.
It tells you, though, you've got to, with the presidency and with the Senate, you can do these things. And without it,
without it, you don't get the infrastructure bill. Without it, you don't get this nomination and this confirmation.
If you would have had Hillary and a Congress that was and a Senate that was blue.
Oh,
that was blue.
That was blue. Oh yeah, we'd be.
You'd have 2 because Ginsburg probably would have retired. So you'd have 2.
Yep.
So
yeah, Ginsburg I think said as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. All right, this story comes from Mother Jones. Representative Matt Gaetz votes against capping insulin prices, says people should just lose weight. Now, I got to read what he fucking said and then rip him a new one. So here's what he said. While Democrat posturing of H.R. 6833 victimizes insulin payees as people with an uncontrollable disease that are being taken advantage of and need Big Brother to throw them a raft, lifestyle changes en masse would expeditiously lower demand and the subsequent prices of insulin. 90 to 95% of people with diabetes have type 2 diabetes, which, quote, can be prevented or delayed with healthy lifestyle changes such as losing weight, eating healthy food, and being active. Arbitrary price controls are no substitute for individual weight control. Since 2000, the number of diabetes cases in the U.S. has nearly doubled. The demand for insulin has increased, and the requisite price increase has followed suit. In other words, the price of insulin increases as waistlines increase. Motherfucker, it's not true. Here's the thing. It's not true. Most people with type 2 diabetes, almost none of them need insulin. Insulin is almost exclusively for people with fucking type 1 diabetes, which has nothing to do with lifestyle, cannot be controlled by weight.
Shows you what he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about.
I think he does, though. I think this is a fucking...
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah. I was thinking about this.
Sure.
I don't think it matters if he even knows. You know what I mean? This is the sort of like Republican bootstraps. Hey, man, pull yourself up by your fucking McDonald's wrapper or whatever fucking garbage they say. Everything is personal responsibility when it's not something they have to pay for.
Yeah, yeah. And it is one of those, he's got one of those just shittiest takes on everything.
Yeah.
It feels like every single thing he has is just the shittiest take you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
You've distilled down the shittiest takes from 20 shitty people and you fucking force fed it into this fucking cocksucker's mouth.
Yep.
And he's the one who vomits it out at you. Everything is a bad take, man. Everything.
Yeah.
And it's always just mean. Right? It's like he can't just say something. He's got to be mean too at the same time. Always.
Because they eat that shit up.
They eat it up. They love it.
Think about who your base is. And we talked about this on the show before, but it's worth saying again. It's always worth looking around and looking at the company you keep.
Yeah.
And if you're a guy like Matt Gaetz, look around and look at the people that are excited by your viciousness.
Yeah.
And think, too, about what excites you about viciousness. And what does that say about you? We should look twice at ourselves when we are excited by viciousness. But the fact that this plays politically tells you something really fucking unsettling about who we are, like, as a people. When you can say, like, here's a vicious, mean-spirited cruelty.
Really? Trump fucking churned up all that worst parts of so many different people on the right. And it hit at the perfect time when social media was allowed to connect them.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for all that connection, those pieces might have come up, but they just get fucking pushed back down by, basic decency, which technically should be what we have for each other. But instead there's just this, they saw each other and they just attached.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
And it's all at the worst time. It's all at the worst time. And there's a few people on the Republican side that know it. Marjorie Taylor Greene and him, I think they try to be as shitty as possible all the time.
Well, and I think too, though, I think the pandemic has exacerbated.
Yes, I think you're right. The pandemic
has made us meaner.
Yeah.
The pandemic has made us more isolated, less mentally healthy, less mentally resilient.
Yeah.
You know, that's fairly well proven at this point, and people are spending more time online.
Yeah. More time online is just going to be just bad in general.
It's making us worse.
Yeah.
Speaking of Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is from LGBTQ Nation. Marjorie Taylor Greene says women, quote, are the weaker sex, our husband's wife.
Let's play it because we can play this.
Yeah,
Let me make sure I can play it.
We got to listen to this fucking woman. I hate her. Oh, she's awful.
So we want to go to the correct output and let me play this. So this is Marjorie Taylor Greene talking at one of her little, and it looks like there's like 15 people at the fucking Ramada here that are listening to her.
Doesn't that look like a depressing play? Hold on, quick.
Hold on, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna imbigonate it first, Tom. Go ahead.
Cecil, there was about a year and a half, 2 year span in my career where I had to do a lot of public speaking. I had to travel around the Midwest,
sure,
and do these like continuing legal education like speeches and seminars about a new law in our industry. Not podcasting, but in my day job industry. And I would go out and I would give these speeches. I would give these presentations. Every one of them was better attended than this. And I'm fucking some guy.
Than this terrible little.
I'm not even kidding. Like
there wasn't an open seat in the like 3, 4 open seats in the front row.
I'm fucking some dude.
Yeah.
And there'd be a few hundred people, right? Like there'd be a few hundred people and I'm some guy. It doesn't matter.
She's in fucking like crazy rural Georgia though, isn't she? Because isn't this her base? Or
I don't know if she's at home right now.
Yeah, okay.
She must probably be at home right now.
It says Georgia back there,
and she is from an intensely rural garbage district.
Sure,
she's from trash.
I mean, this is like a fucking pole barn they're talking in right now. All right, so this is what she had to say.
Question: what is a woman? Because she said she's not a biologist. I'm going to tell you right now, what is a woman? This is an easy answer. We are a creation of God. We came from Adam's rib. God created us with his hands. We may be the weaker sex, we are the weaker sex, but we are our partner, our husband's wife.
That's great.
There we go.
Thank you, Mrs. Green. Thank you, Miss Green. I don't even know what's her husband's name because that's what we should refer to as from now on.
Yeah.
Like if she has a husband, we should just call her Mrs. whatever her husband's name is.
Right. Yeah. Like Mrs.
Like
Timothy
back in the
Green
Mrs. Timothy Green. That's that should be her name if that's what she really thinks. But it's all bullshit, right? It's all just a lie. She says this, but she's not like tee I yield all my time because I'm just a little old woman.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing to have somebody who is a power hungry media sensation be like, oh, but I'm the weaker one.
Yeah.
Like you're just playing to yokels.
Yeah.
You're playing to yokels who believe that the 1950s was an idealized version of American life.
Yeah. And you're also playing to people in that party that eat that shit up.
Yep.
They eat that shit up. It's crazy to me that you can, and it's what's nuts to me, Tom, is that women vote more than men. So women are more politically active than men. And yet somehow this sells to the Republican Party.
Yeah, I don't get it either. We're in a weird place demographically because women vote more than men.
Yeah.
Women are getting more of the degrees than men. So women are fast becoming significantly better educated than men. And yet women in the suburbs are the reason Trump got elected.
Right.
I'm baffled. I'm baffled at a demographic that would watch that Billy Bush clip of Trump.
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, all right, I'm going to punch that fucking ticket.
Sure.
I don't. And like, you can be in a very traditional, quote unquote, like home relationship and still have equity in your relationship. Like that's not difficult or impossible, but there's a sense from this that has nothing to do with equity and parity, right? This is like she's saying like women are weaker.
Yeah.
The Bible says we're weaker. Yeah. We're the second gender. We're the lesser of the two. And you and I both see right through it, but the yokels started fucking clapping, man.
They start lap it up.
I'm baffled by who's fucking clapping.
Yeah, man.
They're doing more than clapping, though. They're voting.
Well, and that's the problem is that she's going to, I don't know. Last time she was unopposed, people said.
There was nobody running
against her. So, I would just dump a shit ton of money down there.
Well,
but even still, I don't know that's going to help.
I don't know. Because it is rural Georgia, I don't know if there's an amount of money in the world.
You can't,
that would convince,
no matter what, unless you're paying voters.
Right. Right. I got $100.
Here's $100. You can go
just
vote.
Fucking stay home.
Yeah.
This is so weird. This story comes from the Washingtonian. Lauren Handy, great name, by the way.
That's a great name.
Great name.
Great name.
Claims to have actually had 115 fetuses. Handy says 110 of them were blessed and buried. The other 5 are with police. So Lauren Handy is an anti-choice activist.
Yeah.
So that's who Lauren Handy is.
Yeah.
And here's her crazy story. So I'm going to read the story she's telling.
Read it.
All right, so here's the story this lunatic is telling. The provenance of those 115 fetuses is bizarre. The group claims several activists, including Handy, encountered a driver from Curtis Bay Medical Waste Services loading biohazard boxes into his truck outside the Washington Surgery Clinic in Foggy Bottom, which sounds like a fucking SpongeBob place, on March 25th. They say they convinced They say they convinced the driver to give them a box. A statement disputing the credibility of these claims, apparently from Curtis Bay Energy, was read by another reporter at the press conference.
So it's a box in the back of the truck is what they're saying.
So this guy's got boxes, and evidently, so imagine this. You're some driver picking up your boxes.
Yeah.
And some fucking lunatics are like, can we have one of those boxes that you're supposed to be loading onto the truck? And you're like, yeah, all right.
Also, and what's inside of the boxes?
Well, what's inside of the boxes, according to this lady, is fetuses. Like they're biohazard boxes.
Feels like the worst way to carry them. Wouldn't you want to have one? You know, like when you go to get a 6-pack and it has those little rings.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be the best way to put fetuses together? It's just like one of those 6-pack things. You could just pick them up and then carry them where you need. And if you need one fetus, you just crack it out of there, right? You just crack me off a fetus, Tom. And then you could just easily just reach over and crack me off a fetus.
The thing is, they're all past their best if used by you.
It is true. It is true. Yeah.
They're all so little, you can just put them in like little sea monkey habitats, though.
Put them in a Sucrets case.
So this guy's like, I'm supposed to believe that this lady walks up to this guy and is like,
he's like, can I have a box of fetuses?
Can I have a box?
That's a weird conversation to start, by the way. That can I have a box of fetuses?
Also, who's like, biohazard?
It's a weird thing that's your neighbor for. When you knock on the door, can I borrow a box of fetuses?
Do you have any fetuses? I don't want to be weird.
Yeah,
I'm just doing a thing.
I want to name them real quick.
What I need to do is cuddle a corpse. I'm starting a new.
What do you name their fetus before you bury it?
Oh, well, Cletus is the obvious.
Cletus,
the fetus is pretty obvious.
Landfill is a good one.
Oh, that's good.
Phill.
That's good.
Landfill.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have a name for a fetus, let us know what you would name your fetus if you were to bury it. This lady's so crazy.
This lady's so crazy.
And like, this story makes no fucking sense whatsoever. And then they read the part where she calls up like a person to come by and like scrub him or whatever. And bless him.
After issuing a substantial trigger warning, PAAU screened a video that purports to show activists using a kitchen knife to cut into a cardboard Curtis Bay Energy box with a biohazard label before discovering what they claim were 115 fetuses, most at early stages of gestation. The group said a priest came to Handy's apartment to name, and bless the fetuses.
You gotta name them.
Holding a funeral mass before burying 110 of the fetuses in an unidentified private cemetery. They had a weird fucking mass burial.
And they like named each one too. That's weird. Do you put them, okay, so you got all their fetuses in your test tube. Do you throw them in the hat with the names you pull them out too? How does it work?
Well, the
logistics of this is just fascinating to me.
Also, like, some of them are homeopathic fetuses, so they put one in and then they put water and they bang it against the table and shake it.
If you hit it one time, that fetus is super powered. This is the craziest, weirdest shit. I read this today and my mouth was wide open. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is like those people you run into, Tom, where they're just like, yeah, I'm actually in the witness protection program or whatever.
It's nonsense.
It's all just that crazy nonsense. It's that crazy, like, I'm going to tell you a lie right now, but I'm going to look you in the face and you're going to pretend to believe it because you and I both know that I'm crazy.
Yeah, 100%. It's fucking, also, like, you're like counting out these fucking, most of these abortions are done in like 6, 8, 10 weeks. These are tiny. They're fucking less than a raisin. Yeah. These are tiny chunks of unidentifiable biohazard tissue. Yeah. It's not like they're holding up a little fucking homunculus, like a little human.
It's not that picture that they show whenever any of these assholes goes out and protests.
It's a glob of tissue.
And they show that image. They'll be like, that's what it is. And it looks like a fucking college student that somebody cut open.
Like, seriously, like, at the point where most abortions take place, it would look like a bloody snot.
Yeah. They're pomegranate seed size.
It's nothing.
They're nothing. You wouldn't be able to identify it.
Like, are they all in their own individual little biohazard doggy bags?
Like, were they
like sorting through this goop? That's the grossest thing ever.
It's weird and crazy, and it doesn't make any sense. And it feels like the biggest lie in the world. But the crazy thing is that she did have 5 of them. So, like, while it seems to me like that's fucking crazy, she had 5 at least.
She had 5 in the fridge, man. It reminds me of that, like, ferrets movie we watched a long time ago.
With the Rainbow Bridge people.
Yeah,
who save their ferrets. They, like, store them up.
Guys, there is this amazing PBS documentary. I have it. It's my favorite thing on earth. It's called Ferret's Pursuit of Excellence. And it is.
It's the greatest name. That's so the greatest name of any documentary ever made.
If you guys like mockumentaries, this is the real thing. It's like Best in Show, but nobody's lying to you. Like, it's 100% nonfiction. And there's a part in it where, like, these people have all these ferrets, dozens of ferrets, show ferrets, fucking all these ferrets. And they die because pets die. And they're like, well, I keep them in the freezer here because I get a discount when I get enough of them to bury.
A discount.
Wait, like, what? You got to fucking evaluate your life when you open your fridge and there's fetuses in it. Like, think about your life
Just
choices.
Rethink all of it.
Like, what led you to this place?
Just rethink it all.
Real quick, one other line I got to read from this story because it's the best line. How do you know these people are 100% full of bullshit? The very last sentence. The activists also claimed Tuesday that some portion of the Baltimore region's household electricity is generated by burning fetal remains. No, it's not. People aren't fuel.
That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life.
It takes...
What is this, the Matrix?
Thank you. That's not how energy works. You use more energy to burn things that are liquidy. What the fuck? Are they... What?
Do we have to go through
Are they, like, stacking them like cordwood until they age and dry out?
They got a dehydrator.
Right? Yeah. What? What do you mean? Every time you make toast, you're like, chunk, I wonder if this is baby toast. Is this abortion toast? You know what? Fuck you. I hope it is abortion toast.
Toast. Abortions.
Toast, abortion.
There you go.
So this is a crazy story. And there's actually 2 stories that dovetail into this story. So this story comes from Fox17.com. Tennessee bill seeks marriage class for 1 man and 1 woman and protects clerks.
Oh, so it's disgusting.
It creates a record of marital contract at common law to be filed by county clerks and establishes common law marriage in the state as between 1 man and 1 woman. In addition to creating a separate marriage class in the state, the bill also protects local officials from legal action. The bill states the attorney general would have to defend local officials and political subdivisions of the state against actions targeting them for their decision to issue or deny a marriage license. And there's another story. I don't remember if I put it in the show notes, to be honest. There's another story, but this same bill, in creating this separate marriage license, it also does not have age restrictions.
Oh.
So what this essentially does is it creates an unlimited child bride situation in Tennessee. And that's not, Cecil. I read a couple articles about this.
Jesus Christ,
it's
Tom.
not unintentional.
Jesus Christ, Tom.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah, man. So in Tennessee, they passed a bill not that long ago changing the age for marriage to 17.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they wrote this law that says actually you can have this new marriage certificate, which is between a man and a woman, and then they just quietly took out any age restrictions, which means a 10-year-old could marry a 40-year-old in the state of Tennessee.
I saw a picture. One of the congressmen from there, I forget where I saw it. Maybe it was Twitter. And I got to confirm it. So this guy in Tennessee, Tom.
What the fuck?
This guy's John Rose.
What the fuck?
They were engaged before she graduated college, but he awarded her, somebody had said that he had awarded her a scholarship when she was 16. That's when they first met.
Oh, that is fucking appalling.
And then they're married now and they have like 2 kids or something like that. But she's decades younger and he met her specifically through like.
He groomed her back when she was in high school. Then.
Groomed.
Yeah.
That's a word we hear a lot nowadays, isn't it?
I mean, I'm sorry, but like if you meet, when you're a grown ass man and you meet a 19 or 16 or 20-year-old person, they're a fucking child. It's crazy how little they seem. It's crazy how young.
Yeah.
It's crazy how little you have
I work in higher ed. They
seem like babies.
And I'm around people that are 18 to 22. I'm around young adults 18 to 22. And I will tell you now, they seem like little kids to me.
Yes.
They seem like little tiny kids to me. In fact, I'm sometimes shocked that they're in college and can drive a car.
Dude,
they're that young where I sometimes catch myself. I run into graduate students. Now, graduate students are 22 to 26 years old most of the time. Now, they can be older, of course.
Sure.
But the average age is like 22 to 26. And I'm shocked at how young they seem.
Right.
And I'm like, you're a graduate student?
16 is, I have a 16-year-old stepson.
Yeah.
He's a baby. He is in every way a child.
He's a baby.
There is nothing about him that is not a child.
Yeah.
Like he's a child. He's not, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And like, the woman who, like our babysitter that works for us is, she was 19 when she started. And she walked in the door and I was like, there's no way you're old enough to do this.
Yeah.
And all she was going to do was babysit, man. That's not a grown up.
Yeah.
That's not what the fuck is somebody doing? That's a grown ass person.
We're talking like somebody who's almost 50.
Right. That's what I mean.
Somebody who's 16 years old.
16, you shouldn't, there's nothing to talk about. Are you having a relationship? That's grooming.
And, you know, when you take that number out of there, that number means something, man. That number means something.
It does.
And I know it moves itself all over the globe. It's different. All over different states, it's different. But man, there is something to that number. And to be, you know, somebody who's that old, you're right. It's child brides, man. It's straight up child brides.
Child brides.
We got to play this, Tom. We got to play this.
Oh, yeah, we
clip.
do. This is great. This story comes from Right Wing Watch. MAGA candidate Mark Burns urges Christians to smash the windows of Antifa activist cars.
Okay, cool. Let's go check this guy out. So this guy is ready to throw hands.
Yeah, he is. He is excitable.
So let me put it on PC here. Now, the folks who are listening to this, you won't be able to see this man get animated, but you will certainly be able to hear him be animated.
You see that Antifa flag, go knock out their window. That's my thought. Forgive me, Lord. Forgive me, Jesus. Lord, forgive me. I'm asking for forgiveness right now. I'm asking for forgiveness.
It was just a thought. It was just a thought.
But I'm saying the Bible says that the kingdom suffers violence and the violence take it by force. The problem is we've been too coward and too weak, and we think that man has authority over us when we serve a big God that's given us power and authority.
Oh, that's terrifying. That's a terrifying bit of tape there.
It is.
Right? Where somebody's like, well, they don't have any authority, like they don't have any earthly authority. We literally have divine authority to do literally whatever we want.
Yeah, and it's also it's I love this. I don't love, But like they're all so fucking pixie choosy because the Bible also says like render unto God what's his and render unto Caesar what's his. And like there's plenty of like Bible verses called like do the fucking civic
authority
thing that you're supposed to do.
Follow the authority.
Yeah. But like these guys, when it's convenient for them, when it's convenient, Jesus is a peacemonger.
Yeah.
When it's inconvenient, when it's convenient, he's pounding fucking swords into plowshares, right? And when it's inconvenient for them,
punching a money changer.
There's also that but there's also that thing where he's like, go sell your shit and get a sword.
And buy a couple swords and hire a mercenary or something.
Because it's all it's a fucking big book full of nonsense.
Hire a black ops team.
Right. Call Blackwater. It's fine. Call Blackwater. It'll be all
Jesus has got a Roman guard. They're just waterboarding.
Tread over every demonic spirit. But so if they're going to knock out a window, you go knock out 2 of theirs.
That's what I'm.
Wait. Okay. So
find Antifa's windows.
Yeah, I know. Like the logistics on this just don't seem possible, right? I'm at a place where they have lost control and people are now smashing windows in say downtown Chicago. What? The eye for an eye thing doesn't work because the Walgreens owner isn't gonna look out and say, I know that guy, I know where he lives, and then go smash my window.
He's got to smash. First of all, he's got to do that twice.
He's got to smash, and he's got to find me.
Right. What is it? Well, maybe you're carrying windows.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe
you're one of those guys.
You're
like those guys in the old silent movies where you're carrying a window and some guy.
What world are you living in?
Charlie Chaplin film.
Right.
I do my own stunts.
I grabbed this because this is falling into this new theme of stories that I'm enjoying grabbing, which are the I'm a coulda, woulda.
This is 100%. This guy is one of those guys who's telling a story at the bar about like that one time that guy said something to him and then he walked out and he would have totally kicked that guy's ass. I would have kicked that guy's ass. Came very close.
Just about guys.
I might have done it.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Shoot your own.
That's what Jesus said. Go buy 2 swords.
That's what come on, brother. Come on, man.
Go buy 2 swords.
So listen, Oregon, y'all better go buy some swords in the name of Jesus, right? Go start knocking out some windows. If they wouldn't, I think he's shaking.
I know he's watching.
Okay, hold on, time out. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. I don't mean violence. All right. Okay, listen.
No. What do you mean? You mean violence? Like you fucking like legit mean violence.
It's so funny because he doesn't mean violence when he sees that his words are going to have an effect that he'll be liable for.
Right.
That's what he saw. What happened, guys, is he looked out into the audience and he saw that he was reaching somebody.
Yep.
And he understands that an incitement to violence is a form of speech which is not protected. And he thought, holy shit.
Yeah. Or he saw somebody who was shaking their head and saying no, right? He was saying like the person's like, no, I don't believe that because people have, look at the different takes on the Will Smith thing that happened the other day.
Right. Yeah.
Look at the different takes that people had about somebody who's hit somebody versus physical violence versus violence against someone when you're insulting them or whatever. Like, look at the different takes you saw in that. And so that's what he's seeing right now is that there's some sort of moral position that someone has that's in their gut.
Yeah. Right.
And he saw somebody probably in the audience be like, whoa. I'm not going to, what are you talking about? I wouldn't do that. And now he's got to walk it back because now he realized, I pushed the wrong button.
Be clear because I got Vice News here and they already think that I'm trying to start a civil war, right? I'm not trying to start a civil war. I'm only saying that if they're going to knock out our windows, we knock out theirs too. That's all I'm trying to say.
It's making sense though.
Well, we want to do whatever we can to prevent violence, right?
Right.
We want to do whatever we can to prevent violence. We don't want violence.
Right.
But the reality of it is.
But there is self-defense.
There is absolutely self-defense, and they believe.
And if those windows can't defend themselves, I think we need a Kyle Rittenhouse there to make sure that you shoot someone dead for breaking a window.
These guys are such fucking posturing bullshit artists, right? Yeah. It's so ridiculous and it's so transparent how much. Like, well, we don't want violence, but I sure do like thinking about it. I sure do like to fantasize.
I do like to fantasize. I love my Charlie Bronson look.
Right.
Yeah.
When violence is not something that I have to personally contend with the horror of, I sure do like to jerk us all off to it a little. Right? That's what this is.
Yeah, no, it's 100% a fantasy.
It is.
Yeah.
believe that we Republicans are soft and we are quiet and we are cowering down to Antifa and Black Lives Matter and no, the devil is a liar.
The devil is a liar, right?
Don't let my title confuse you. I'm telling you, I've been waiting for Antifa.
Here we go.
I told you, listen, you stop right now. Let me jump out. I've been waiting for Antifa, Lord. She said they go Antifa. I'm like, finally I can see Antifa for the first time. I'm here. Come get me. That's my mentality. Come get me. Want some? Get some.
You run up and get some,
right? The devil is a liar. I ain't the one. See, they go find some skinny, unathletic person and they start pushing them around. Let them come and push me around. One of them going to sleep.
I knew you was going to do a Will Smith if they came up to you. You was going to do a Will Smith.
Will Smith them in a heartbeat.
I knew it.
So
I'll put one
ineffectually slap them while they move on with their day.
Like ineffectually.
That's your big threat?
That's the big threat, I guess.
Yeah, they'll tell a joke about it and actually they'll come out ahead and you'll lose everything. That's your fucking plan?
What's crazy to me is like this guy is like all the other guys that are going to tell the story. Right. They're going to tell the story about you don't want to fuck with me. I'm not the one. I'm not the one you want to fuck with. Dude, you're like an older guy.
He's just an old, heavy set guy.
Yeah.
Who's loud.
You're not scaring anybody.
No, right.
But then there's also this weird machismo thing that just happens. And so, I mean, it's all
nonsense and it's all toxic masculinity amplified through religiosity. And like you watch this shit and it's so self-evident and transparent and gross and also like embarrassing for this guy to like listen to because he's somebody's like drunk dad posturing in the fucking driveway. And you're just like, oh, fucking Jesus Christ. I remember when you threw that football over those mountains.
He's going to throw a football over the mountains. Jesus. That's what he was going to do.
But also like real quick too, in all of these fantasies, Antifa has to come to them.
Yeah,
right. Because they've never seen Antifa. Because Antifa's not a big fucking deal. These guys make it out like there's Antifa around every corner, that Antifa's pulling all the strings and creating all the violence. And they're all like, well, I'm waiting for Antifa. And it's like, look, man, Antifa's not a big thing.
Have you really even heard much of it in the last year?
No, because it's not a big thing. It's not it was never a big thing. It was always a relatively small fractional political movement with a handful of adherents, but it's become this boogeyman, just like MI13. Trump tried to make MI13 this great big boogeyman.
I remember at the beginning of his presidency, it didn't work. Yeah.
And instead he switched it to BLM and Antifa. Yeah. And these guys are all excited like there's this Antifa mob of people, but they're all sitting on their hands just like Q, waiting for the fucking actuality to surface. But since it's not real, they never have to throw hands.
Yeah, no, you never have to. If you never have to encounter it, then it's essentially a free boast.
Right.
There's no. I never have to pay the piper.
Right. Yeah. It's like the Chris Rock joke actually. That's so good. It's like Rihanna's panties. Like I'm boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. You know? Yeah. It's like, yeah, man, like you're boycotting this fight. You weren't invited. You weren't invited. Go.
Yeah. Yeah.
This story comes from thehill.com. South Carolina House passes bill for doctors to deny care that violates their conscience. The bill would excuse medical practitioners, healthcare institutions, guys, and healthcare payers from providing care that is inconsistent with their personal beliefs. What that means is it's not just the doctor, it's a hospital, and it's insurance companies.
Yeah.
If you're a fucking insurance company, you're going to create a ethical stance that gets you out of paying for shit because that's on your profit margin.
A whole bunch of stuff. What's interesting is I wonder if you could maybe have a place that they all decide that they don't want to treat divorcees, right? Because that morally is repugnant to some people, right?
Yeah, the Bible is actually much clearer and more stringent on the topic of divorce.
So a true evangelical, that's why I chose it, right? A true evangelical, someone who's very, very close to the Bible, might think that's even more abhorrent than an LGBT person. So they choose that on there. What does that do for the rest of the state then, right?
How do prisoners get care?
Yeah, right.
How do prisoners get care? Let's say you're a person who's been incarcerated
and you're accused of murder or rape.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely reasonable because again, this covers not just individual doctors but institutions, entire institutions and payer systems. So who's to say that nobody's going to work for that? You know, that no institution, you know what, we're just, none of us are willing to work to help save the lives and safeguard the health and safety of any of these prisoners. Or, you know, if you're an insurance company, wouldn't you say, you know what, our CEO is a staunch evangelical, or, you know, I'm some guy in the room processing claims, and I'm not going to process claims. I'm an incel. I'm not going to process claims for women.
Yeah, man.
What does a conscience mean?
Yeah.
The problem with a conscience is it doesn't mean the same thing to everybody, and it doesn't necessarily, a conscience does not necessarily mean that it is a morally, upstanding position.
Sure. It could be a shitty position.
Right. So maybe I'm some fucking asshole, and I'm going to say, you know what, I'm not going to process any claims for people with names that are hard to pronounce, or I'm not going to process claims for people that sound foreign.
Sure.
I'm not going to process insurance claims. You know, I'm not going to allow anyone to be admitted to my emergency room, my hospital, or to provide access to radiological testing.
Man. Yeah.
This is not how medicine should work.
Yeah. And this is one of those things, though, that, you know, when you start to bring something to its logical conclusion, this is where you wind up, right? This is the thing that everybody always is like, oh, slippery slope. And you're like, no, but the slope does end somewhere, and this is where it ends, right?
This is the worst.
Because, you know, they could weed those things in, those lines in, Tom, about sexuality, about gender, or something like that into here, but instead they're going even more broad.
Yep.
And now when you give the payers the ability to not pay, how often is a payer not going to pay if they can choose not to? Oh my God, are you serious?
If you were a complete piece of shit, wouldn't you hire a figurehead CEO that was an evangelical so that you could cut your expenses?
Yeah. Because, and then his pay would be nothing in comparison to what you save.
Yeah. So if you're an insurer, if I'm Blue Cross Blue Shield or Aetna or Humana or whatever, wouldn't I see this law, move my corporate headquarters to South Carolina, then install a figurehead CEO that was an evangelical, and then deny claims based on marital status, to your point.
Yeah.
Deny claims based on lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
Deny claims based on sexual preference, sexual identity, gender identity. Wouldn't you deny as many claims as you could based on conscience?
Yeah. It's money in the bank.
Literally, why would you not do that?
It's money in the bank.
If you just care about money.
And especially when you're talking about a system like ours, you know, we literally created the capitalist system for healthcare.
Yeah.
And the capitalist system for healthcare wrings as much money out of us as possible and pays all kinds of CEOs a shit ton of money, right? It wrings all the money it can out of us and then denies us coverage because that's cheaper than giving us coverage. And if you give them that out, that's another way for them to fuck you. It's yet another way. It's like these health insurance scam companies that are religious.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically the same thing, but now it's state sponsored.
It is. This story comes from Right Wing Watch. Marjorie Taylor Greene calls LGBTQ movement predatorial, promises Alex Jones legislation. I grabbed this story, Cecil, because I was like, there's still people going on the Alex Jones show.
This is a fucking sitting congresswoman.
On the Alex Jones show. Alex Jones. What do you have to do as Alex Jones?
Thank you. Right? What do you have to do? Does he have to do like an atrocity in order for some? Because like you could even argue that his handling of Sandy Hook was an atrocity.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The fact that Alex Jones is not politically toxic to these troll faction Congress people is, that's all. It's almost all I care about in this story. I care about the story, but like, holy shit, this needs to be disqualifying. Alex Jones at this point has lost his lawsuit.
Yeah.
He's the actual worst.
Yeah. He's a terrible person. And then to come on his show, but then, the thing is like, these are two peas in a pod though.
I know.
And I want to read what Greene said.
Oh, yeah,
this is something that this isn't on the article. This is actually, I had to track this down. So Greene said that if her daughter had a trans summer camp counselor, her husband would beat them into the ground and they would be in jail. This is exactly how we need to stand up against this stuff. Jones followed Green's comment by raising the dubious specter of nationwide threat to children, falsely claiming that trans inclusivity means full-grown men would be showering with young girls. Quote, even if you don't have daughters, you can imagine what it's like to have a full-grown man around the country showering with your daughters because they say they are a biological woman, end quote. Invoking her previous violent remarks, Green replied, quote, we have to draw the line in the sand and say that we are not willing to cross it. This is such perversion, end quote.
It's all straw man.
It's all straw man.
None of that's happening.
And holy fuck, this dude's just gonna, like, if somebody exists that is trans near him, he's gonna beat them and go to jail. You're married to a psychopath.
Yep.
Like, holy shit. And you shouldn't excuse it. You shouldn't be like, that's just how he is. And that's, and not just excuse it, but like celebrate it. Celebrate that shit, man. What the fuck? That's fucking lynching. Yeah.
Like that we have a thing where you can't just decide that some people are guilty and attack them viciously as a fucking vigilante mob or vigilante individual.
Sure.
You can't do that. Yeah. What the fuck? I'm at a place where I look at this and I'm like, this woman went to that fucking Nick Fuentes racism conference where Nick Fuentes joked about, like, they say it's like Hitler, like that's a bad thing.
Yep.
Now she's on the Alex Jones show. This isn't hidden. Yeah. This isn't like maybe kind of sort of. This is overt, aggressive, in our face.
Yeah.
And it's allowed somehow to continue. There's nothing disqualifying.
I have no idea how she can stand. And then we didn't cover this, but Madison Cawthorn, like last week, was talking to people about how they're like orgies and coke orgies or whatever. Yes. And then they told him, what the fuck? Like, you can't just go out and make up lies and shit. But you have this cohort of people who literally say anything.
Yeah.
And, we grew up with this idea that there was limits on them, that they had to have this sort of decorum, but there's something about it.
Man, I used to think serious people were in charge.
Me too, man. And my whole life I did.
I think that for a long time, serious people, now bad people often, but serious people were in charge. And now, not like we're gonna kill ourselves through irony.
They're like fucking clowns, man. Like, you're a fucking clown. That guy's a clown. She's evil. Like, the more I hear about this woman, the more I absolutely loathe her. Like, celebrating transphobia, talking to him about it, and like making up lies to incriminate trans people for
so you can justify a fantasy of beating them,
just so you could have your weird Charlie fucking Bronson fantasy of your husband punching someone. You're pathetic and disgusting. You're a terrible person. How is there no test for you not to be in office?
And and is there nothing anymore that can be said that is awful enough to be disqualified? I feel like we've veered so far that I don't have any idea anymore. Genuinely, I don't know what can be said anymore that matters.
Yeah,
that can like look at Trump right before 2016 talking about sexually assaulting women, bragging about sexually assaulting women. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
that should be a big deal. And it just wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It just wasn't. And like, now you've got Alex Jones, who's a genuinely terrible human being.
Awful person.
Just, I mean, an indefensibly awful lunatic person on the absolute fringe of society, who is now sitting Congress people having their weird fucking diddle fantasy about beating the shit out of fucking marginalized peoples so they can hang out together and enjoy this fantasy horror. And we're just like, yeah, all right.
And that's fine.
Second most influential Republican in Congress.
And we might not get a chance to cover it, but we should talk about it at least briefly. There's this push from the Democrats to try to put this rule in place that makes it so there is at least some sort of ethics rules around sitting Supreme Court justices, so that there's rules around which they should recuse themselves. Because right now it's just a handshake agreement. It's just, should I recuse myself? If I want to, I will. I don't have to, but there's no real pressure. And what they're trying to do is create some sort of rules. I really wish that somebody would have came in. I wish Biden would have made this one of the points to come in and be like, no, we're going to put rules in place that make it so none of this shit is possible anymore.
Yeah, man, we need to have ethics.
Yeah.
We need to have serious people back in charge. We need to get rid of meme culture in the halls of power.
Yeah.
We can't troll our way out of horror.
Yeah.
We cannot joke and like silly our fucking way and be like, everything's just a joke. When you take it seriously, that's when I was joking.
Yep.
Because it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
What it is all bullshit meant to like rile up these people and then to diffuse the legitimate concerns of those of us who see the dog whistles, and in this case, the fucking dog calls for exactly what they are.
Sure.
We've got to cut it the fuck out. Like, we have to stop. It's bad, and it's getting worse all the time.
Yeah.
And we have real serious problems that we're never going to contend with when these are the people in charge of solving them.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this story's from Salon.com. And I almost never grab shit from Salon. I know Salon's problematic, but this seemed worth it. Paul Gosar blames staff for his appearance at white nationalist conference for the second year. So the same fucking AFPAC that Nick Fuentes.
Isn't that the same? It's
conference?
When they say for the second year, isn't it the second time this year?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Twice.
It just happened.
Twice.
Like, it just happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Twice. And Paul Gosar is like, he puts out this statement like, we've been really busy and understaffed. So I didn't know what. Get the fuck out of here.
You're never so understaffed that somehow you wind up at a KKK rally.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't just accidentally wind up there.
Man.
You're not understaffed. You're just indiscriminate.
Yeah.
And that's your fault.
Well, at best, you're indiscriminate.
That's
the most
right.
generous.
And you're right. You're right. I am being generous here by saying that, because it could be that he's intentionally a white nationalist.
Right. And
that's 100% possible.
I will say, if you've gone there twice, my money's on you're a fucking white nationalist.
How do you
make the same mistake twice? So,
or you have like white nationalists on your staff that don't care, right?
But also, like, you gave a speech.
Yeah,
you gave a speech.
That's the other thing too. Is right. You could walk in and be like, "Fuck, did that guy just say Hitler's kind of cool?
You leave.
Peace out, yo."
Right. That's the thing. That's why I'm complete. Like, look around, read the room, look at the agenda. Who's on there? Who are these people? If you want to tell me that you're fucking in charge and you did nothing, you did no homework,
and
you
busy,
had no spine.
Yeah,
I don't buy it.
You know what? We didn't go to a conference. We were able to check it out. We're both work. We both have 3 jobs.
Yeah, man. It was Mythos' Milwaukee.
Yeah, we decided not to go.
Yeah, it was the year before Sargon.
It was the Sargon. It was the Sargon year. We pieced out well before. They had us on the thing, and we said, "No, man,
we're not going.
We're not going. Like, you can't just put us on your docket without asking us." And they literally did. They said we're going to be speaking.
They said it did before they even talked to us. And then we're like, well, who else is going to be there? And then we talked to some people because we didn't know the names. I'd never heard of Sargon.
And they're like, "No, man, that dude's like
face
or
whatever,
a fucking crazy person." We're like, "Oh shit!" And we just said, "Nah, man, we're good. We're not going."
Yep.
And it's the easiest conference for us to get to. I could drive there in an hour and 15 minutes.
Hilariously, I ended up going.
Yeah,
just as a spectator.
Yeah.
So like, I didn't attend it. I went there to fuck with Sargon a little. But like, yeah, man, like it would be seriously the easiest thing we've ever done. But it's less than 5 minutes of due diligence.
Yeah.
To figure out that Nick Fuentes, literally just Google Nick Fuentes.
Right.
Oh, it's AFPAC. Oh, who runs that? Nick Fuentes. Google him. Oh, he's a white nationalist. Because he says he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's that easy. I don't buy it at all. I think these guys are fucking white nationalists. I think that what they do is they go to these fucking conferences and they whip these guys up, and they know that the only people who are going to be outraged are you and I, who don't give a shit. We're never going to vote for this guy anyway.
It doesn't matter. And Gosar the Gosarian's going to wind up being part of the fucking Congress again. It's not going to stop. But it is, you can't keep, if he does it again.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is like
fool me once, shame on you.
Shit happened to that guy from Iowa, Steve, whatever the fuck his name was. Steve King.
Yeah.
That guy got fucking censored. Is he still there?
No, he didn't win his last election.
So
yeah, but I mean, like Marjorie Taylor Greene got kicked off all her committee assignments for being the worst.
She hasn't been censored though. You know what I mean? Like there's a level of, because that guy was like, what's wrong with, he like said out loud, what's wrong with white nationalism?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He's like, everyone's getting all worked up about being a Nazi these days.
What's crazy about that?
Anyway, sing hail.
Look,
like, whoa.
Oh, I got this weird salute I do to everybody.
Jesus Christ.
My steps are a little goose-like, if you know what I mean.
I gotta go to the dry cleaners and pick up all my brown shirts.
So that's going to wrap it up for this week. We want to thank everybody for coming to see us. We just recorded with Seth Andrews tonight, the Thinking Atheist. He has a YouTube channel. You can go check out his stuff. We'll be on in a couple weeks. I want to say he said it was like 2 weeks or something.
The 17th.
17th or something, or 19th or something like that. We're going to be on his show. Check it out on YouTube. You can follow him as well. And if you're here from maybe his show or something, you can always just hit the subscribe button and the little bell thing, because the more people that subscribe, the better chance it is that other people will see these videos. So we would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. So please do that. These shows are normally a little shorter than our audio shows. The audio shows include an email section. We cover email. We normally don't like to do that on here because it's not the same format, and we also don't want to accidentally share something visually that we shouldn't. So we separate the email portion out. So you're missing, if you're watching this, you're missing the email portion. So go check that out. That's on our downloadable show. Our podcast is downloadable every week on iTunes and all the other places you get a podcast, and you get there'll be an extra 10 or 15 minutes on that where we talk about email, and then we end the show there. All right, so we are going to finish up the show, wrap it up for you guys here on the video. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to leave you, like we always do, with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi-alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan, sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death and towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.